Luke, Joe.
Dun, 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 dun.
This is an exciting day for me. I mean, not only am I a year older, but we are watching one of my childhood movies. 1995's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. You know, okay, so for those of you who don't know, we have this new rule. We have a new rule for the podcast. As hosts of the MTG Podcast, Luke, Jordan, and Joe, when our birthday comes around each year, we now have the ability to tell each other, hosts, Luke, Jordan, and Joe, you know what? It's my birthday this year.
This year?
Like it is every year.
It's actually mine too this year.
That's crazy. What a coincidence. And
Yeah, but notice how Jordan did this right before his birthday.
I know.
Hey, none of our other birthdays have been going on during the podcast
Well,
so far.
I'm
It's
gonna
the first.
I'm
barely
gonna
missed
search
mine.
Rotten Tomatoes. What is the
Barely missed.
worst movie possible to watch?
Birdemic. And so the rule is on our birthdays, we can say, hey, other hosts, let's review and watch. Let's watch and review this movie. We have to watch this movie and we have to review it on the podcast. And this year, the year 2014, I am 27 years old and I picked Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. We watched it.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's talk about it. So much to talk about, guys. So much to talk about in this movie. I mean, there's so much happening. We have a villain, Ivan Ooze, who's this big purple monster.
Jordan, you are currently on the wrong IMDb page. Go ahead and let my users know. It has the poster for the movie, but it's actually the TV series.
Well, you know what? I don't even need it. I've seen this movie so many times that
I'm sure that's true.
I am the IMDb for this.
Fair enough.
When I was a child in 1995, I had a friend. Her name was Kathy, and we were hanging out with our parents because that's what we had to do when we were that young. And our parents said, "You can watch. We're going to go see the movie. You have a choice this weekend to see in theaters, Pocahontas or Mighty Morphin Power Rangers." Kathy, you know, being a reasonable human being, wanted to see Pocahontas. And I pitched a fit beyond anything that any parent or friend has ever seen. I didn't cry or anything, but I was mad. I was upset. And that we didn't go see Mighty Morphin Power Rangers that day. But I did see it. And boy, did I see it. I watched it so many times with my friend Carrie, who we wanted on this podcast, but he couldn't make it. He was on our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle podcast, and we watched this movie a million zillion times. So, guys, what did you think of this movie, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers? This is your first time seeing. You guys have never seen this movie before, so
No,
I have
I'm pretty sure I've seen this movie.
Oh, you okay? You have. You
As
just
we
didn't-
watched it, I remembered
You
it.
just didn't remember
But
somehow.
I think I've only seen it like once.
So, you know, there's a lot that goes on. A lot we learn about these characters. So much that we learn. One of them is named Kimberly, and she's obviously the most attractive one. She's really good looking.
Amy Jo Johnson.
I had a crush on her when I was a kid. I thought that Zordon was gonna come down and say, "Jordan, we need you to be a Power Ranger," and that me and her were gonna fall in love. I mean, it hasn't happened. Hasn't happened yet, but I thought it was gonna happen. But she's in this movie, and she has a crush on Jason, who is the leader of the Power Ranger, played by Jason David Frank. Sorry, did I say his name was Jason? His name's Tommy. His name's Tommy Oliver, and he is obviously bad to the bone.
Well, his real name. You got his real name right.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You
I
were
got his
wrong.
real name. I was better about. I know more than most people. He's a leader, and any time in this movie there's a situation that the Power Rangers are like, "Uh-oh, we're in trouble," Tommy's gonna come and he's gonna save everyone.
And he clearly has the most awesome uniform.
Yeah, he has like shoulder pads and
He's got
stuff.
the upgraded Power Rangers uniform.
So please, guys, please Tell me, coming into this, Joe, you haven't watched much Power Rangers. What did you think? What did you think, man? Of all the antics and action and drama.
I think it would have been different if I had seen it as a kid first. I think I would have been more of a nostalgic feeling that you probably are obviously experiencing. Because
I don't know what you're talking about.
As a grown adult watching that movie, I found it to be lacking in several areas.
What areas would that be, Joe?
Just overall direction of the movie in itself. It was not really like that well planned out even. It was just like...
Okay.
It was like, okay, I felt like they wrote each scene right after they finished doing the scene before it. And there wasn't even like really any planning. It just kind of like, we got to fill a 95-minute spot and this is what we're going to do. It's kind of to me, it's a confusing movie because I have known nothing about the Power Rangers. And maybe if I had more knowledge about them, I would like it.
Oh, please, Joe, what confused you? Ask me a question.
I'll give it like, okay, so it's in the top 5,000 on IMDb. Good for them.
5,000.
There's a lot of movies that come out. There's a lot of movies that came out in the history of the world.
And
more than 5,000, I'll have you know.
Wow. So it's in the top 5,000. Good for it. It has a 50, which is like means that basically everyone was undecided. They couldn't make up their mind whether they hated it or loved it. Okay, I can kind of I feel that. I feel that because it's just a kids movie to me. I'm sorry. I can't buy into it as an adult. Now, does that mean that I'm like, Jordan, you're a moron for loving it so much? No, because I mean, there's plenty of stuff that I watched as a kid. Oh my gosh, there's plenty of stuff that I watched as a kid that I've watched as an adult now, and I kind of am like, oh crap, what was I thinking as a kid? The only reason I still like this is because when I was a kid, it meant a lot to me then, and you have grown up watching Power Rangers more than I have, you know.
Tell me, coming out of this movie, all the questions that pour into your mind as someone who hasn't watched Power Rangers before, what were some of these questions that you had?
Well, I'm confused at how their actual power. I know they get it from from the Zordon. I think Zordon, is that his name or whatever? Alpha 5. I can't remember exactly.
Zordon is their leader, and he is bound to the command center, which is the source. Is where their power lies.
Right, and I just don't. I mean,
Make
why?
Power Rangers. What do you mean?
I mean, why? Tell me. Can you explain to me why their power's in the command center? You know?
Because Zordon put them there.
But why did he pick these 5 people or 6 people?
Because they're teenagers with attitude. That's what the theme song. In the theme song, he says, Alpha, Rita has escaped. Recruit 5 teenagers with attitude. And he got these guys. Because they clearly have attitude. I think.
Okay. And my question to you, that answers one question. My next question is, okay, so they lose their power because there's no power or something. It was a little confusing in the middle there. Just kind of like, oh no, we used up all of our power. The machine's broken, the command center, whatever. So they go to this other place, and then they like transform into some other type of Power Ranger. I don't exactly understand how it just is like reaching for something that I don't get. But I'm not really supposed to get it because if I maybe watched the show, because
if you watched the show, you'd be even more confused because they did something different in the show. They like, all right, so there's a movie that came out afterwards called Power Rangers Turbo, which is a whole different thing about how they got their powers, these new powers in that one. And so this was like an introduction to the season, Power Rangers Turbo. And so the first episode of that would be Tommy going up to someone who wasn't there saying, wow, we just had an amazing adventure. And it would like flashback to all the times they had in the movie, like a montage to say, hey, go see the movie. But if you saw Power Rangers, the movie, like I did when I was a kid, and then went home to be like, oh man, I cannot wait to see how this is gonna affect the show. I'd see the same actors going to do something to awaken this blue robot creature, who I forgot his name, who then bestows on the Power Rangers, the powers which I just saw them get bestowed to by Dulcia in the movie. So it's a completely different thing. So, in other words, this movie isn't even canon. It's not canonical to the show.
Well, again, it just was not for me. That's all I can say. I couldn't buy into it, and that doesn't mean that maybe if I watched it again, I just think it's something that you watch as a kid, and then you either like it or you don't like it. If you like it, then you like it as an adult, and that's it.
Luke,
that's just my personal opinion.
Luke, you've seen this movie before. Seeing it this time, how did the movie reveal itself to you?
Reveal itself
in an appropriate way. It's PG movie.
One thing that did bring back fond memory was how the characters were the same in the show and the movie, and I wish more things would do that. I'm a sucker for characters that cross over from different things into different things. I would just love it if Marvel and DC would do some of that. So for me, that's a plus for this movie. They use the same people. I think is it every person in there is the same character?
Yep, even Bulk and Skull.
Yeah. See, I mean, I think that's a good thing. Like, so many times these big name actors, they don't want to continue their role because they don't want to be hooked to one role, and so I think that was cool. I barely remember it from back in the day. I just remembered, it is, you'll see a scene and be like, oh yeah, that's right, that's what happened. So yeah, I mean, I'm partially with Jordan, but I'm partially with Joe. It reminded me of when I watched Batman and Robin again recently in the last couple of years, and realized
it's a great example, though. Seriously,
what a mockery of a movie that movie was, and just what a joke every scene was. I actually don't think this was as bad because it was more serious, and it wasn't just like one pun to the next.
There's a lot of ooze puns though. Instead of ice puns, there's ooze puns.
So yeah, I mean it was cool because I definitely watched the TV show when I was younger. So I wasn't a huge fan of it when I was younger. So I guess I obviously have faded in my fandom now. So I'm pretty much not really that into Power Rangers at all. But definitely nostalgia. It was cool to see it again. I probably don't want to see it again, but I'm glad we got to refresh my memory on Power Rangers.
All right, well,
and hopefully for your next birthday we can watch this Turbo movie or Samurai movie. I don't know. It's just, again, it's a little confusing, but maybe the more I watch it, I'll just pick it up and be right as rain.
So there's so many parts in this movie that we can talk about, but what are your favorite? Let's talk about your favorite parts of this movie, guys. Joe, what's your favorite part?
My favorite part has to be when they're rollerblading around, to be honest with you.
They're good at everything.
Yeah, and then they become color in the air. And
they teleport, Joe.
They shoot to the command center, and then they're dressed differently when they arrive. So
what,
they
really?
had a costume. Yeah, if I recall, they're not dressed the same. They only have rollerblades on. They just appear
it's just the rollerblades. They took them off.
No, I swear they're dressed differently.
All right. Okay. All right.
Okay, and then I find it funny that the guy is dying, this Zordon creature, and he's dying, yet he's gonna make it for the movie. He's he won't die completely. But then when he's in that little glass cylinder thing, he's just a head. I don't know. It's just that was weird, but that's at the same time kind of cool. Kind of a cool little 1995 effect.
How does that work? Is he laying there the whole time? When his machine's working how it's supposed to? Does Zordon lay there in his tube the whole time, and then he just lays there talking, and a head pops up? I'm confused.
It's future hologram technology, Jordan. We're not meant to understand it yet.
Yeah, it's beyond us, guys. It's beyond you, Joe.
It is beyond me.
Luke, favorite parts of this movie? Favorite scenes?
Favorite parts? I think I couldn't think of a favorite part, but I think one of the things I found funny and enjoyable was the silly ooze stuff. The fact that his grand master plan is to pump out ooze in these little cans that look like the flubber cans, and these people are going to be so intrigued that they're going to grab it for absolutely no... Oh, that smells awful. Let me touch it.
All right. While we're at that, let's talk about his plan. Ivan Ooze is an ancient morphological being who's... Zordon, he put him in an egg for 10,000 years. And Lord Zed and Rita pop him out so he can destroy Zordon and the Power Rangers.
It was only 6,000 years.
You serious?
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't it question Zordon's power if they can just pop him open that quick?
Yeah, all he did was shoot it. But it's Lord Zed. He's powerful, I guess. Well, I guess not. But, all right. And so his plan is...
He got turned into a little guy.
After he goes into the command center in a great scene, where that little monologue he has, it's a monologue. I'm calling it a monologue. He's like, oh, the things that I've missed, the Black Plague, the Spanish Inquisition, the Brady Bunch reunion. And then he destroys everything. After he destroys Zordon and they become the Power Rangers no more, his plan is to dress up like a wizard and make a bunch of ooze and brainwash the parents. I don't know why he wants parents specifically. He wants parents for some reason. Only parents can do this. And to dig up these machines, the ectomorphicons that are buried in Angel Grove, coincidentally. And after that, he's going to use these things to spread ooze around the world and the city. And then he says, first, Angel Grove, and then the universe. So he is going to destroy the universe.
Skip right over the world.
Yeah,
straight to the universe.
Straight to the universe. Forget any other city other than Angel Grove. The world, then the galaxy, then all the other galaxies, then the universe. I don't know what he's gonna do, but it's not good. So that's why the Rangers have to stop him. And so
makes sense.
Yeah. So there's our threat. Those are our stakes. That's the stakes for this movie.
They're pretty high.
Any other favorite scenes, Luke?
Well, I thought it was kind of cool when they went to the what is that other realm they get transported to with the last bit of power Zordon had.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. The world.
Which
is
is
they go to planet Phaedos. They go to another planet.
A lot of power, yeah.
The planet of Phaedos.
Phaedos, of course.
So, and they're there they find the great power.
They get ninja powers?
Yeah, ninja powers. Ninjetti.
Why did they change powers from the animal powers to ninja?
I mean, it could only be assumed that the power that they had was destroyed along with the command center.
Wait, I'm confused. You should explain this. So they had animal powers in the beginning. Is that right?
Dinosaur power.
Dinosaur power.
Yeah.
So then they got ninja animal powers. So it's like ninja / animal powers.
That's right.
I think if I recall, then this is going to be like, this is
That's
testing
confusing.
my limits of remembering. But is it Megazord?
Megazord is when first off, they each have their own Zords, and when they combine them all together, it makes a Megazord. The Megazord.
You're not thinking that this is impossibly confusing to human beings?
Especially a child.
If we can watch Age of Extinction, which also has dinosaurs and giant robots, we can do this. It doesn't have transmorphium in it, but I think we can grasp it.
Well, I think it's all the powers like changing that's a little confusing.
Oh, dude, you should see the new one, the new show that they have, which I don't watch.
I think I shouldn't.
But I have seen a couple episodes.
It's
they can
ridiculous.
pick like any power of all the Power Rangers that ever were. It's crazy. They take out a toy of one of the other past Rangers and they transform it in. All right. Moving on. Favorite lines in this movie. What are your favorite lines? What?
I don't remember lines. I'm trying to think. The little kid had some like ridiculous one-liners, but
What the kid? Oh, okay. Here's one thing that's wrong with this movie. When me and Carrie, we were kids, we hated that kid. We did not like him. I think half of it because we were jealous that he was in a Power Rangers movie. But the other half is we don't like it when kids like take giant roles of leadership. Okay, so what he does is when all the parents are like hypnotized or whatever by the ooze, all the kids are partying like crazy to that song. You remember that song? That was in it. Uh-oh, we're in trouble. Something's come along and it's bust our bubble. Yeah. And so they're partying. It looks exactly like the scene from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when all the kids are hanging out with the Foot Clan. They're like playing video games and like smoking cigars, except there's no cigars in this. They're just screwing around with ooze. They're just pouring it all over the place. They're all like covered with it. I never understood that.
Remind me of like the Pleasure Island part of like Pinocchio.
Yeah, that's right.
Get all the kids.
They're turned into donkeys. And so what happens here, he stands on the table and he makes this speech, which is in essence, all he's basically saying is, come on, guys, over and over almost, in essence, because he doesn't really say anything of substance. We have to say,
you guys think this is a giant party?
They got our parents. Come on. And the kid's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, we got to do this. And then the scene changes, and without them responding, they're just with him.
They act like he's an idiot, and then it's like, let's go.
And then, all right, this is obviously a giant leap in logic. He gets into a monorail, which I don't know how he knows that he knows. Like, I don't know how he knows where the parents are and how he can get there on this monorail in Angel Grove. But he gets in the monorail and operates it. In his first try, he like hits the button 3 times and like looks up, and they're just going. I don't.
Well, that's what I would do too. I didn't know how to do it my first time.
Do you know how to operate a monorail right now?
No.
It's the green one.
It's the green one.
That would be my first guess.
Maybe it's just really easy to operate a monorail, and this movie is a slap in the face of anyone who actually operates a monorail in real life. See how easy your job is that this stupid kid from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers can do it in one shot with no problem?
They're alienating those train operators. Yeah. I looked up quotes just to remind myself, and definitely I think the best quote is Ivan Ooze. What is that odious stench?
Yeah.
Smells like teenagers.
I love his delivery there. Okay, I'm going to give this movie this because, I'm saying it's a good movie. It's not a good movie. But Ivan Ooze says that line and with such conviction. Odious stench. He sounds like the Grinch kind of. Smells like teenagers. It's great. He's really funny, actually. I think he's so over the top. I think they went to a community playhouse and they found some hammy actor and it was like, you're Ivan Ooze, buddy.
And then another good one. Gee, a teenager with a big mouth. Nothing much has changed in 6,000 years.
Yep. Another good one. Classic. And
also, the guy who plays Ivan Ooze is pretty well known. He's in a bunch of stuff.
He's in Hot Fuzz?
Yeah, he's in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Who is he in Hot Fuzz? Oh my gosh, Ivan Ooze is in.
Remember Raiders of the Lost Ark? He's right there with that the guy that grabs and burns his hand. He's the guy that holds the staff.
Wow.
I was just watching Raiders of the Lost Ark last night. It was like a Power Rangers marathon.
Paul Freeman.
I wonder if that's Martin Freeman's dad. Wouldn't that be crazy?
Could be.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh my gosh, we have to look this up if we have a connection here. If Watson from Sherlock is the son of Ivan Ooze. Oh my gosh.
He is 71.
He totally could be. Joe.
I'll work on that. You guys keep talking.
What did you think of the Zords? You see, in the show, it was completely miniature. Well, obviously in the show, they used a part Japanese footage because it wasn't all made in America. It was part Japanese footage from a different show in Japan and an American footage. And so they used miniatures. But now, in this movie, they're using completely CGI creations. What'd you think of those?
It was like 1990s CGI. It was like, again, it would have been different if I'd seen it as a kid. I have to go back to that because that's how I feel about this movie. Like
All right,
if
when
I was
saw
a
that-
kid, if I had watched it for the first time in 1995 as a 9-year-old, I would have probably liked it. I probably would have gone, "Oh wow, that's neat and cool," but I didn't. I watched it now, so I don't think that at all.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I remember seeing that and being like, "Oh my gosh, they look amazing. They look incredible." And now that I see it, it looks like Reboot, that show. Remember Reboot? It looks like
Yeah.
that. I remember when I was a kid, I had dreams about seeing this movie because I was so excited. I remember the dream too. I remember like seeing like a scene where they were like Kimberly was like they were like on top.
Of course,
of the
it's Kimberly. That's the person you're dreaming about. Your lover.
They were on top of like the pterodactyl Zord in the opening scene, and they were like hanging out on it, and it was like flying in the air, and they were like chilling out. Never happens at all. Maybe in the new one that comes out. Maybe in the new one they'll do that. I can only dream and hope.
Well, when you wish upon a star.
Your dreams come true.
Yeah. Never know.
Absolutely. So, is there anything else you want to say about this movie?
I'm
I
glad.
remember-
I guess I'm glad I watched it. But I wish I would have liked it. Maybe as much as you did. But I mean, I probably the kid in me might have given it back in the day like a, probably like a 7.5 or 8. But I'm gonna go with a 4.5 here.
Okay.
Because it has just enough that's like it's one of those movies that I can sit around with you and Luke or with whoever I'm watching with and we can crack jokes about it and just joke around about it, and that makes it fun and adds value to it. But that's like, that's pretty much all I get out of it, man. I'm sorry. Just stretching
I
it,
think
man.
it gets harder to enjoy some of those movies too as you get older. I mean, I've found that in my own self. I can remember.
And we've come a long way, like with graphics, and we've come a long way with stuff. And it's just like sometimes it's so hard to get over it, unless it's something that you watch as a kid first. I'm telling you, if you watch it as a kid first, it just changes. It just changes completely the way you view it.
I guess we'll find out. I am so excited for the new Power Rangers movie that's coming out from Lionsgate and getting produced by Robert Orci and written by the people who wrote X-Men First Class. Holy macaroni. It's going to be a hoot and holler and good time.
I wonder how much Megazording is going to be in it.
A lot. I remember when I was watching The Page Master. Do you guys remember The Page Master? That movie with Macaulay Culkin. He turns into a cartoon and he learns like how to be brave or something. I remember in the commercials for the VHS, there was a teaser for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and I remember being like, "Oh my gosh," because the music sounded really edgy in the trailer. It like sounded really like rocky, like yeah, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's dark." And like seeing the Power Rangers at night because you like never saw that in the show.
The excitement is growing. The challenge is building. And the stage is set for their greatest adventure yet. In the next few minutes, see for the first time some of the new surprises that await your favorite superheroes as they take their skills to the big screen in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie.
Let's kick some moves.
And like the actors were like talking about the movie. Like I think like the girl who played the Pink Ranger, Amy Jo Johnson, she like came up in the trailer. She was saying stuff like,
It's kind of a mix between The Wizard of Oz, somewhat Star Wars. It's just gonna be exciting and fun and like fast.
so that's what we got, apparently. That's the movie we got. And I remember wanting this movie to be darker in my head. Like, remember when they dig up the egg, like the construction worker guys, and he's like digging up, he's like, "What do you think we got over there, Paul?" And he's like, I have no idea. And he goes up and he touches it and it gets blasted away and it's like on the ground. And he's like, when I was a kid, I did this with a lot of movies that were kids' movies because I knew I was getting older and I wanted the things that were perceived as kids' movies to be edgy. And so I just wrote in my mind, he died. He got killed because this is a serious movie.
Oh, jeez.
And so he died when he's clearly breathing. But I would just like wanted it to be edgy so much that I was just like, yeah, he died. I remember like making it a point to the people I was talking about the movie with when I was a kid that like, oh yeah, that guy who touched the egg, he died.
Wow. That is...
I did the same thing with Pokemon, the movie, when I saw it as a kid. When Mewtwo blows up the plant, that like the factory or whatever that he comes out and it blows up with all the people in it, I was like, yeah, those people died. I think I might have been right with that one, actually.
Yeah, but it blew up. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I think they're actually dead.
Kids these days certainly have a lot more to choose from than we did when we were younger.
That's very true.
Just a lot more universes, a lot more characters.
That's true. What do kids have now? All the stuff that we had as kids.
Yeah.
Basically.
And so many more original things that have just come out.
There's so much good stuff from like DreamWorks.
Yeah.
DreamWorks is like killing it right now. All right. Anything else you guys want to say about this before we close about Power Rangers, Luke? You have anything else you'd like to say?
I miss 90s movies. I wish that more movies would come out in that same style and just good-hearted. Not that this was a comedy, but there were a lot of stuff that was similar to a comedy.
You said you ooze, you lose. It's pretty funny, right?
I just love 90s movies, so I did enjoy the movie. I mean, it's obviously hard to take it seriously. Mm-hmm. I guess so many of the times, I mean, for me, it's like, oh, this is an action movie. Well, no, it's really not an action movie. Let's be honest. Mm-hmm. Like, we compare it to Avengers and all that. It's just hard to even like take it seriously. But for what it was back in the day, like, it was a fun movie for a young Luke Glover.
For a young Luke Grady Glover.
Well, thank you, Jordan, for making us watch it. I'll throw that out there. I appreciate you broadening our horizons.
You're welcome. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. You can follow us on Twitter at MTG Pod and on Facebook.com/MTG Podcast and on Instagram at MTG Podcast. I give Power Rangers the movie a 10 out of 10. Thank you.
Oh my.